Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Finance Committee meeting of the City of Hudson for Monday, January 27th. I'd call the meeting to order. First order of business is discussion and possible action on minutes of previous meetings. Does everyone have a chance to review the minutes?
Move for approval.
Second. Is there okay. Second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion, item 3, discussion possible action on claims. I think everyone has received the claims. Any questions or comments?
Move to approve.
Is there a second? I'll second it. The amount is $2,411,247.97. Is that right, Mr. Vanslo?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Operator's license, the next item. And we have Sarah Henke, Gary Mayer, Merritt Stegen, and Sarah Stotz. Stoltz. And this is an operator license from January 28th, 2014 to June 30th, 2015.
Move for approval.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the possible action for filling a vacant patrol officer position. Chief Jensen is here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just would like to go through the process of filling Officer Mark Crimmins' position. Mark has given us a 2-week notice that he will be retiring on January 31st and then taking another job, possibly with the Hudson School District. With Mark's absence, we're going to be down in our patrol ranks down to 13. What I'd like to do is, I've already talked to Police and Fire Commission. We can go off our old eligibility list and fill that position. Hopefully, if I get approval, we can get that person up and running. First part of March, at least get them on board so we can start field training. We still have some background checking to do and so forth. We do have the money in our budget. With the person coming on, there will be some cost savings, obviously, with the HRA amount and they having to pay 7%, and they're coming in at a lower rate. Obviously, with Mark being here for 29 years, he was being paid at the high rate.
Okay, any questions or comments?
Marty, you can hire as the chief and supervisor of the department. Can you hire right off your part-time list?
No, I have to follow the directions from the Police and Fire Commission. They're the one that makes an eligibility list.
Are your part-timers on that eligibility list?
There are some part-timers on the eligibility list, but at the meeting that Devin and I were both at, they told me that I needed to use that old eligibility list and I needed to go in order. That was the motion.
They rank them in order.
Yes.
So that's the order.
By statute? Or is that their policy internally for that?
I think they've adopted procedures
Right,
in the last
Correct.
couple of years, and
So
I
they
think
rank
they're
them based on their
authorized
interview
to do
scores.
that.
This is the best. These are the top 10 from best to 10th.
I guess my overall question is why wouldn't you hire from a part-time list of people that you already have working in the department?
If the part-time person's on the full-time list, that's a possibility. If they're not on the full-time list, we have some part-timers that are not.
We have 3 people on the current list right now that are part-timers for us. However, because the Police and Fire Commission ranks them, 1 through 10, I've been instructed that I need to hire them off that list in that order.
Were you part of that list of taking 1 through 10?
I was. We have a portion of that we do in the very front end where we interview people and then we rank them 1 through how many people we interview. And then the Police and Fire Commission takes that into account when they do their rankings in the interviews, and then they'll rank everybody 1 through, they give us 10 or 12 people on the list, and that's how they do it. But they add up all their scores from their written test, our interview, and their interview, and then they put them in that order.
So you've had some input at least.
I've had some input. Yeah, we have input at the very front end of it.
Okay. And the testing figures into it as well.
Correct. The written
Standard
test.
test that we give to all the officers.
I suppose we can't get involved with looking at that policy.
No, that's a Police and Fire Commission issue.
Correct.
Well, I'll move for approval that we fill the vacancy with the budgeting coming from the already budgeted position.
Is there a second?
Second.
Marty, I have a quick question for you. How often do we update the list, and how old is the current list that we have?
The current list is now coming up on
15 months
right now. We did ask for an extension. It was supposed to be up in September, but with the possibility of us having an opening in January, which was for the investigator's position, I asked them if they would extend that list instead of going through the hiring process or starting a new eligibility list, for the simple fact that it takes 3 to 4 or 5 months to get that done. So I just wanted that to be available so that I could hire somebody off the list. The top 3 candidates, the list at the time, were very qualified. We'd already done backgrounds on them. We knew we could get them into place right away.
And the list was extended for 6 months, so that.
Covered that portion of it, correct.
So really, it's time to start getting that list updated
Correct.
again.
So what they told me to do is use the old eligibility list to do this hiring on, and they've started the process of getting a new list up and running.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Marty. Discuss possible action on Lake Malibu change order number 3. Tom or Karen,
We're both coming up.
okay. The ever-ending Lake Malibu project.
It will be done after this one.
Is this something new or something that we had approved earlier?
This was changes that had to be completed because of the storm event.
Which we didn't approve.
Right, which you didn't approve. And the reason we were holding on to this, we were waiting to see how much FEMA was going to pay for the repairs. And the change order is for $39,014.20. And FEMA said that they'll pay $22,901.45. So we have a remaining fund balance of $16,112.75 that we need to determine where that money is going to come from. But as you noted, or you knew previously, there was extensive damage out there after that storm event. And it was the 2-day that got hit. The one day all the trees go down and the ground was saturated, and the next day all the water came rushing through there.
So, Mr. Zulli, where do you propose we get the $16,112.75?
I'm not sure of that, but I didn't know if the money that we had set aside for the storm emergency fund, I think there was $150,000 for some of the damages that were part of the storm. Other than that, it was a situation where we had to repair the damage, or it was only going to get worse.
So it's already been done? Is this one already been done?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
So why wouldn't we take this out of contingency? I mean,
Is it storm?
It is
Stormwater?
storm-related. I mean, you know,
Is it storm
water
water
utility?
utility related? I mean,
Yes,
that'd be
yeah.
my only question. I mean, we can take it out of
it probably
contingency.
would be, except right now, we don't have the money.
Right.
You know, it
So,
would have to revise
yes,
the stormwater
we
budget.
could take it out of
to do that.
contingency for now, and then at the point that the money,
Where's the
Available.
150 we set aside?
Oh, the 150 we put in a separate special revenue fund. That money is still there, and that money could potentially be used for this.
We
you know
set
what-
it aside for storm damage. This was clearly storm damage, right?
Right.
The question, though, is we expect that money to be reimbursed.
And I think that's exactly right. Part of what we sent there, that was money so that we could expend funds and then subsequently be reimbursed by FEMA.
Only 22,000 of that, though.
Yep.
Right.
And the amount was over by $16,000.
Yeah.
How much do we have, Neil, in our stormwater utility?
Stormwater utility. See if I can.
Because didn't we just fund something last meeting through?
Buckeye.
We
Street
originally had
improvements.
$140,000 for capital, and 90 of that was for Buckeye, and 50 was for other projects. And of that 140, we used 130 for Buckeye, so we only have $10,000 in there right now for stormwater capital projects.
Okay.
We do have money in there for other contractual services, that being repairs and that, to the tune of about $75,000.
So I guess I sort of object to using stormwater utility for this.
Okay.
Because that's for ongoing maintenance and infrastructure improvements. This was an emergency.
Yep.
And so it strikes me it should come out of contingency. This is exactly why, you might remember I mentioned at one point, I don't like us doing things like buying squad cars out of the contingency fund. Didn't we do that?
the second, yes, I believe last year,
Yeah.
earlier in the year, yes.
That's not a contingency fund proper use, in my
2000,
opinion.
I believe for the 13 budget, there was originally one, and then.
And then we
the second one was
add another
purchased.
one, we put it contingency. That's not what it should be used for, in my opinion.
But there is ample funding in I mean, obviously this time of year in contingency, so in the
So,
general fund.
Chief Eby, have we received any kind of dollar figure from FEMA on how much we're going to get?
The only two that we've gotten that are through the actual full is the two checks that I've given Neil already, and one was for 19,000 and one was for 875. So the rest of them are, I've got the worksheets. I know that there's two of them for sure that are going to go through. We just haven't gotten the final approval yet. And there's another big one coming back for debris too, but that'll be reimbursement for what we spent on all the debris removal, and that's going to be a very large chunk of money.
Okay. So again, one more time, we put $150,000 into this fund.
Right.
But it came out of income, or
Right,
what should we
what
call
we
it?
ended up doing,
Surplus.
out of our surplus, that's
Okay.
correct.
So it is cash in there. So we have, it is.
There is cash in there, and one of the things that we will do is, as Kim mentioned, she's got like 5 projects where they've committed to a dollar amount, and we've received checks on, I think, 3 of those, or it's something close to that. And so we know the money's coming, and those funds, when they're received, and I covered this, I think, in my monthly report, what we ended up doing is once we knew what costs were going to be covered, we took those out of, we reduced Tom's expenditures in the general fund. We reduced even, EMS police expenditures in the general fund, and moved those over so that they were paid, they were in essence paid for by the FEMA reimbursements, which has helped us considerably. So once this project's over, there should be money to transfer back to the general fund. But at least, using that fund allows us to account for what our total cost was.
So does anyone have any problem taking the money out of the what would you call it, the storm fund,
It's really the storm special revenue fund.
rather than contingency? Since
Well, I guess my only concern is the intent wasn't to use it, right?
Right.
The intent was, it was just sort of we can, but we've got another bill in here coming up for, right? Close
Correct.
to 90,000. I don't know.
we haven't done that project, correct?
No. But
Well, it's a shell game, sort of, it's done, the work is done, we got to pay for it.
Correct. So the question is, where do you want to pay?
I'll
for it?
move that we take it out of the storm fund we set aside for $16,112.75.
Okay. Is there a second? I'll second it. Discussion. Lori, you don't think we ought to take it there?
well, what do we have in our contingency?
80?
And then with 128 to start, and we've with the insurance rate changes, we've moved a little bit, but we probably have 100 in there right now.
It's January.
Here's what I'd be okay with, and it'll get resolved long after I'm gone, but could we take it out of contingency now? And if it ends up that there's excess funds of the 150 that we set aside, can we reimburse contingency at that point? I don't know. And like you said, it's a shell game, but it's an emergency. That's what our contingency fund is for, and
If you were going to do that, what I'd recommend is transferring the difference, the $16,000, to the storm fund, because the storm fund is where we'll deposit the FEMA check.
right.
So if that difference gets transferred from the general fund there, then we'll pay everything out of the storm fund.
So we'll take it out contingency, move it over there.
Right.
I don't know. That's
And
just my
then
thought.
after
You guys-
after everything's done, there will be money coming back.
I guess that's fine, we have to pay the bill, as long as it's reimbursable.
Well, everything but 16,112,
Well,
we
right.
think.
Either way, we have to pay it because
Yep.
it's been done.
Oh, absolutely.
I get what you're saying, so I will amend the motion to do what
Take
Laura
it out of
suggests.
contingency and move it over to the storm fund. Okay.
How,
The only issue I have with that is that would bring the contingency down to about $84,000. And then if we do have other issues where we need contingency
This year-
funds, are we going to be able to transfer them from storm sewer back to contingency? to
In
use it?
most years, we don't use the bulk of contingency. This year we did because there was a $50,000 tree removal bill that we had to get out right away, and it was an unusual year. And plus with all the road salt that we ended up having to buy.
And it's not over yet.
Especially the road salt and the,
I Historically, though, we haven't ever run into an issue where we've gotten to the end of the year and we haven't had any contingency. But that is a possibility. I mean, you're
Well,
right.
That's my biggest concern about going to contingency. I would rather take it from the storm, only because of that, because we're draining our contingency, and it's early in the year, it's only January. That's my biggest concern.
Okay. Randy made a motion, or he amended his motion.
Why don't I withdraw the motion and we'll start over?
Okay, okay.
So your only concern is that it's early in the year. And yeah, it is, but this is that, and I'm sorry to nag, but it's why we have to be really careful about what we use contingency for. If we're not going to use it for emergencies, we certainly shouldn't be using it for vehicles.
Well, that's over and done with. We're talking about going forward.
And so I think we
agree with
should
you.
use it for this purpose.
The bigger question I think you're alluding to is where does that 150, if we don't use that, go back to?
That would go back to the general fund.
Surplus.
General fund.
So either way, we're
Yeah.
going to spend it.
Well, no.
No,
not
I mean, we
necessarily.
sort of, it's
Well,
like.
For 16,000, we're going to spend it.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the question is, what I think Rich is saying, let's assume we have continuing snow events and lots of snow and lots of salt, and I can't imagine we'd use it all. And then we do have another, what happens if we have another storm? Now, do we take it, where do we take the money out of? I suppose we can transfer it out of the, what's it called, the storm fund?
Special revenue fund.
Special revenue fund. It doesn't matter to me, folks.
Well,
Go ahead, take a crack at it.
I like taking it out of the storm fund only because it's easily traceable and we know where it's at and the fund is there, so I
Is that a motion?
don't want to steal Randy's motion.
No, he withdrew his.
I will make a motion to take the $16,112.75 out of the storm fund.
I'll second your motion.
Okay, but really, we're going to take 39,014.
Well, 30, yeah, and
Yeah.
reimbursed, but yeah, okay.
Yep. Is that okay with you to amend that?
Yeah, 39, okay.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carries.
Could I ask for
Sure.
some information in regards to her question? I want to know if we did spend and bought a car for contingency in the record.
We did.
But can I see it on record?
There was a
There must have been a motion or something made.
During
of
the
that.
budget discussions, and I don't know if it was in prior at the finance, but I believe it was at the council level, there was the original budget approved by the finance committee had one vehicle for 2014, and the remainder was sitting in undesignated.
Wouldn't that be in a motion somewhere?
It's in the budget discussions. It should be in the minute. I don't know if it'll be a motion. It was discussed.
Can I see that next, whenever you, at your convenience?
I will try to find it. Yep.
Okay. Discussion, possible action on proposed work for Stone Pine Pond repairs and bank stabilization. Who's the lucky person that wants to do this one?
I'll start, but I think I got some help. I'll probably need Kim and Karen also. Like Neil said, that most of the storm pond damages were in one category, and they've separated those into smaller projects. And I think that we've got some reimbursement for those, or the reimbursement is coming. Those smaller projects, they've been identified, and we plan to do most of that work with the public works crews and money coming from FEMA, and if there's any other up and beyond that, I suppose it would come from the stormwater fund. But the two projects that were classified as bigger projects were the Lake Malibu project and what we've been calling the Stone Pine Circle project. It's a storm pond outlet that goes behind Stone Pine Circle. The outlet itself is actually on city property. The pipes or the sewer lines actually come from, there's a couple ponds behind the convalescent home and Wintergreen. The water builds up there when it reaches a certain level, goes underneath Grandview Drive, and the water flows in toward the golf course, toward the east. It's at the end of those pipes that the outfall drain got washed out and now is laying about 4 feet down in a washout. The problem is the access to that location. The city does have some easements, but it's in the backyards of the people who reside at Stone Pine Circle. There's some manholes back there. There's pipes, catch basins, and storm lines that come from the cul-de-sac itself through some in between lot lines. FEMA recommended that, well, they've had a couple of different ideas. In fact, I just spoke with Tim from FEMA this afternoon, and he's going to call me again tomorrow in regard to this. What prompted this to bring it before council was that last week they wanted to know what direction we were taking in this repair, because they have this classified as a bigger project along with Lake Malibu. So in order to, during discussions, we said we needed to either go through the backyards, or another possibility came up was to construct an access road through city property. Karen has developed a kind of a worksheet and cost estimate if we would build a road that has, sand, a base, and then gravel, and make it, I don't know if it's 16 feet wide. Yeah. And then talking with Denny Darnold, looking off into the future, maybe that path could be used as not only a maintenance a road, but maybe in the future a walk path that would kind of connect to the ones going behind the convalescent home, Coons Hill, and this one could go all the way to Carmichael. So that was just a thought. After speaking with FEMA and Tim today, he said that now another development arose that if we would construct a permanent road, that we'd have to do an environmental study. Don't know how much work that would entail. See, one thing leads to another, and with FEMA, and that was just a thought, building more of a permanent road.
We're talking about across the street on Grandview.
Yep, from Grandview toward the golf course.
Okay.
So if we were, that's just a thought. If that's way over the top and we don't want to look into the future that far, that just talking with a few excavators today, that we feel that we can just clear the trees wide enough to get some backhoe track loaders and just drive over land. But we'd have to cut, some trees down.
Is that city property?
That is city property. I guess I just don't feel that comfortable going behind the residents of what FEMA proposed is going through the stormwater easements through people's backyards. We'd have to take down fences. We'd have to re-landscape. I just feel that going through city property would probably be our best option. If we don't do a permanent road or a road that we can use in the future, then we'd just go overland with construction, and I feel that we could do that without building a permanent road.
Has this been to a Public Works Committee?
No, this was prompted by the phone call last week that FEMA wanted to know what direction we were considering, so we could just keep the process going with those people. So this is just more of an informational part of this. If I could get some direction, if constructing a permanent road is way over the top at this point, then we'll back
What's
off.
What's the cost on that, Tom? I didn't
Karen
see that.
estimated about $90,000.
Well, it was $77,000, but that includes all the riprap repair to the pond. So the sand and gravel road is right around $30,000. So if we took the road out, we could save approximately that much. And I estimated, I don't know the soils out there, but I'm going to assume we probably have maybe 2 feet of topsoil because it's been wooded and the leaves degrading all the years, and we got to get that topsoil out. So
we're east of Grandview, right?
Correct.
Yes.
yes,
So we're not even talking about the mess that's west of Grandview.
no,
Okay, because
That's
that's
some projects that we're going to try to work on, with city staff.
Okay. And so I guess one question I have is, how much of this is just restoring things to where it was before the storm? Or is any of this, would any of it fall into the stormwater utility fund? Are we, making major improvements to that area, or are we just trying to get back to where
The
it
main
was?
thing is just getting access back to do the repairs.
Right, but I mean, the repairs that we're talking about is,
It's gonna be an improvement.
okay.
It's a hazard mitigation one. We can bring and actually build a road that we can actually do further repairs on and actually have more control over. Right now, in order to get back, they have to hike through it or go through people's backyards to get to it, where if they did a road, then it's something that they can maintain and then always have access to it. Right now, if we have to get a crane back to it, there's no way without going through people's yards right now. Which there's a drain pipe that's down that needs to be repaired. And the only way to do it is with a crane. But do you bring it in through people's yards and then continually have to go through their yards to do it, or do you just build an access road and have 24/7 access to it in case of another emergency right now?
If you don't build a road and you just take down trees and do the other option, Tom, the road was gonna cost 70,000, that's what I heard.
No.
30.
30.
All right, and so if you take the other option and knock down some trees and do whatever you have to do to get access to that, what are you gonna spend doing that?
We're right around the 40, 45, I put a contingency in there.
45 to fix the pond.
45 versus 91. Is that correct?
No, I should clarify that. That's 45 construction cost. So it doesn't include engineering fees and legal and admin. Because I had a 77,000 was just construction cost on that first page of the issue sheet. And then the next page had the engineering on it. So you could probably take 30,000 off the 91,000. That's assuming we still get the 13,650 from
So if you-
FEMA.
If you build a road, it's 30,000 for the road. Is that what I'm hearing?
Construction cost,
Of the road.
yes.
If you don't build the road, but you have to knock down these trees, as Tom said, to get access to it, his other option.
We got to knock down the trees to build the road.
I know, but if you don't build the road, but you knock down the trees to get access, is that what you said, Tom?
Yeah,
You can
that's
knock
what
down
Tom
some
said.
trees,
Just cut the trees down, just get the equipment in.
cut
do
down the trees,
repair,
get some
and-
equipment and do the repair, all right? What are we talking in dollars to cut down trees, get access to it, but not put the road in? How much are we gonna spend there?
And to fix the storm sewer?
No, I just wanna talk about the road right now.
You
Or
know,
the
I-
excess. I'm
I
only
wish I
interested
could
in the
give you an
excess.
exact number, I guess we could, we've identified, we could identify a trail or a path through that area, get a hold of tree service or whatever, and
You think you're gonna spend $10,000 or $15,000 to do that?
possibly.
Can I make a motion that we take this to Public Works?
Yep, I was thinking the same
It seems like
thing.
it's out of the realm of what we should be, and I don't know if there's a time constraint with
Well,
FEMA that they need.
that was a problem that prompted it last week, that I got a call, and I didn't want to slow the process down with FEMA, but
It's $13,000, right? That's what we're going to get.
that's what they're proposing to
Yeah,
give us.
and we're gonna be spending a lot more.
I don't feel comfortable that we have,
And like I said, it was just more of a
Informational.
informational meeting, so like I
Okay.
said, we can bring it back to Public Works, and I can maybe get some costs for tree removal, and
we need a second on that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Are we at 7 o'clock yet? We're pretty close.
Yeah, but they're quick.
Okay, we'll move quickly. Insurance documents, Nancy, for property insurance.
How do you move quickly on insurance?
Easy. It's an easy subject.
Okay, the city went out and accepted bids for the municipal property insurance coverage for the coming year. And 3 bids were received, and then including the League of Wisconsin Municipalities renewal, there was 4. So the issue sheet shows what those amounts were. The low bid was from Chubb Insurance for $39,407. That's a cost savings of $14,588 from what the renewal policy would be if we stayed with the league. The one thing that we wanted to make sure that we pointed out is that with the Chubb policy, there's a difference in the deductible amount if there's equipment over $100,000 that has a claim. So it's a $5,000 deductible instead of a $1,000 deductible. And we historically don't have any claims on equipment that's over $100,000 for the past 5 years, is as far back as I looked on that. So,
Don't we have a lot of our equipment on our EMC policy? If I remember right, the fire truck has a replacement cost policy on the equipment.
This is
Right,
for
this is contractor
non-road,
equipment.
like the
snow
front end
plows.
loaders, the
No, no,
It's not vehicles.
it's not vehicles.
Right.
It would be the
front end
generator.
loaders, the,
Yeah, like front end loader, any
Okay.
portable emergency generators,
Okay,
new
gotcha.
asphalt patcher.
Okay,
Right. So that would be a difference if they have to pay a deductible from their budget, where they're used to paying a $1,000 deductible, it would be a $5,000 deductible.
so we're saving $14,000 on a possible claim of a $4,000 per claim difference.
Correct.
Any questions?
I'll move that we approve the bid for 30, I guess it'll be 39,407.
And we also need to have approval to withdraw from the local government property fund.
I'll second that. You include the withdrawal?
Yes.
Is there a 3-year time element not to be able to get back into the league?
no, that was the
Not that I'm
health.
aware
That was health insurance,
Yep.
correct? Okay. Any other discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Discussion possible action on 2013 budget issue sheet.
Basically what this is a thing we do annually. These are budgetary transfers that are done throughout the year, and at the end of the year, the council needs to take formal action on us moving money around. There was no increase in the tax levy. You know, the revenue went up by and some of these things you've already approved. It's just the formal action that we need to take.
Does anybody have any questions on this?
Nope, I'll make a motion to approve the changes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The
Next-
next one we can skip. if you want.
Next one, we can, we'll skip to the council meeting, item 10. Is there a motion to adjourn?
One quick item.
Okay.
In response to Randy's question, it was at the December 2nd council meeting. A motion we made was second to purchase vehicles with funds to come out of the,
Contingency?
the fund that was set up for the sale of vehicles, and the remainder were to come out of contingency. That was at the December 2nd council meeting.
And what was the vote?
It was 6-0. Well, that's what was recorded anyway.
Thanks.
Okay. We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. We'll get going shortly.